Hello everyone. Welcome to this session where we will discuss the tool calling design pattern and we will go into the specifics of the code itself. To understand this concept, let us try to understand a simple an analogy of a child, wherein you will ask a child, let's say, what is the current time? So the child needs to use the clock for this, right? And then, okay, you realize that the child needs a clock, and then you give the child a clock, and you say, "Hey, can you please tell me what is the current time?" But the problem here is the child is so young that it probably needs to knows how to talk, but it still hasn't learned how to read the time from the clock. Okay, so now your second problem is you have to now teach the child how to read the time from a clock. This is the exact same problem that we face when we provide a tool to an LLM. So let's say you ask the LLM, hey LLM, can you tell me what is the current time? But the LLM doesn't have this ability because it is trained in an historic data, right? So what you have to now do is you have to now give it a function called get datetime. This is a function that it can use and tell you the time. But here the problem is the LLM does not know how to use this function itself, how to pass parameters to it, how to get the information out of it. It doesn't have these details. So now your job is to also teach this LLM how to use this function. Now, get datetime is a standard Python function, so probably the LLM might know. But let's say you have an internal company function for which there is some specific company data, and only your company knows how this function can be used. So, in this aspect, if you want the LLM to use that function and give you a specific response, you will have to teach this LLM how to use this function. And in today's session, we will try to understand how we can use this function, or how we can train the LLM or teach the LLM how to use this function. Okay. So before we go there, let us try to understand the very basic idea of how an OpenAI API call works. So this will help us understand how we can use the tool calling functionality. Okay, so every LLM, or for that matter, right now, since we are discussing OpenAI API call, looks like this. So you have completion equals to client.chat.completions.create, and here you give the model and all the details, and you also give the prompt. Okay, what is the weather today in Germering? Let's say this is the question, and the OpenAI responds, and you get the answer here within completion. Okay, so now we have to understand what do we have here within completion. So what every LLM is designed to do is it is designed to give multiple variants of the answer. So it doesn't respond by only one answer. Now, these multiple variant of responses are hidden within this dot choices index. So dot choices is an array, and you can access these different answer types within this indexes. But since we are not bothered about these other variants, we are just bothered about the default answer that it gives. So what we will do is we will access this entire response using the index 0, and we will access this dot message. This dot message is nothing but an object type, and what we have to do is now we have to understand what this dot message object type entails, or what is the structure within this, and this will help us understand how we can extract data out of it. Okay, now to understand this we have to understand this function structure, chat.completion.message. This is the function structure that the OpenAI LLM packs the information and sends it back to you. Now, to extract this information from this dot message, we need to understand this function. Okay, what is the structure of this function? The first element is the content. The content is where the LLM gives you a text-based answer, the final answer. Okay, so here there will be answer, but let's say if you have provided it with a tool and the LLM wants you to use that tool, then it will not give any content here. So it will just pass 0 here. So there will be no content in this. Instead, there will be content within tool underscore calls. So there are other contents here where there is also role, which is right now designated as assistant. We'll understand this role concept a little bit later or in future. But let us focus on the tool calls since we are focusing on how to provide tools to an LLM. So tool calls is of the type chart completion message function tool call. What does it contain? It contains an ID. It's a long string. Why do you need an ID? The fundamental reason is the LLM might not just ask you to use one tool. There could be multiple different tools, and the LLM could tell you, I need a get time tool call and I also need a get weather tool call because you need the weather as of now, right? You don't want the weather as of morning or as of yesterday. So the first function would be get current time, and the second function call would be get weather. So the LLM might send you two different tool calls. So when you actually run and respond back, you have to respond back with the correct ID so that the responses are matched to the correct tool calls so that the LLM does not get confused that okay, why is the weather looking like a string of integers and it's not in temperature or Fahrenheit. So this is why ID is very important, and every tool call comes with an ID. Okay. Now the LLM has to tell you what function it wants you to call. Okay. And for that, there will be a function name. And what is the function name? Teveli search. Let's say we are dealing with a search agent, and Teveli search is a standard search agent and search application. So the LLM will tell you, please call me Teveli search. And what arguments need to be passed inside it? The arguments is what is the weather in Germering today, because this is the question we asked the LLM first, and the LLM did not know the answer, so it responded back saying I need to use the tool. What is the tool name? Teveli search is the tool name. What parameters are needed to be passed? The parameter keyword is question, and this question should be passed. What is the value? What is the weather in Germering today? Okay. There is one more parameter. Okay, we'll come to that later. So this is the fundamental structure of how LLM will respond back to you. So whenever you have to extract this information, what you can do is you can do message dot tool calls dot arguments, and in the index you can check for question and you will get this what is the weather in Germering today. So using this simple Python dot notations you can extract the information out of it. Okay, so how did the LLM know that the argument name is question, and how did it know that the function name is Teveli search? We will next try to understand these specifics, and this is the third and final structure of understanding the whole tool calling agent. So what this is where you actually teach the LLM how to use that function, and this is done basically by using something called as tool schema. Okay, what is this tool schema? So let's say you have a function Teveli search, right? You want to tell the LLM, boss, I am providing you with a function called Teveli search, and if the user asks for a question for which you don't have an answer or the latest answer, you can use this tool. For this, you have to pass a parameter called question, so that okay, whatever queries that will be passed via this question parameter, and then you can use it and it will give you the answer, and using that responses you can give the final answer. So this is how the you have to build the tool schema. Okay, how do you build the tool schema? Fundamentally, tool schema is a big JSON structure. So in this JSON structure you need to tell that this is of type function. So this tool is of type function. What is the name of the function? The name of the function is Teveli search, and you need to describe what does this function do. This is how the LLM understands when to use this question, when to use this function. So if there was another function called get weather report, so there you would write the description. This functions returns you weather information. So this would give clarity to the LLM saying, okay, this function I can use whenever the user requests for weather, or if there was a function called get time. So this description is essential, and we need to write what exact details of the function. Parameters. Now, parameters are the parameters that you have to pass through the function. Here, it is just one parameter, which is called question. So you say, okay, parameters, properties is question. What is the type? It is a string. And what is the description of this parameter? What kind of value do we need to pass here? The query to be used for searching the internet. So basically, this is an internet search function. So whatever query you have to be searched in the internet, you need to pass here as a type string. Now, even though the question is of type string and there is only one parameter, this whole parameters type is an object, because you just don't pass only the query. You actually pass it as a JSON string. The LLM passes it as a JSON object question, and then along with it the value inside the question, so that the right parameter can be passed into the right the right query can be passed within the right parameter. So let's say if there were two parameters here, question, and maybe you also wanted to pass in the time, right? So as of now you want to get the weather. So in that case, the right parameter would be right to the passed to the right query. This is why it is of type object. And required, let's say there are two parameters, but only one is mandatory. Not all the parameters are mandatory. Let's say the second parameter is optional, and then there is a default value associated with it. In that case, you tell the LM, boss, this parameter is essential. You have to pass up value inside it. Otherwise, this function will not run. So this is the whole idea behind teaching the LLM how to use that function. So basically what you are doing is you are giving a nice JSON structure to it. You are telling it what is the name of the function, how many parameters are there, what parameter is of what type, and what kind of information do you need to pass in this parameter, and which parameters are mandatory. You have to give this tool schema when you send the query. Where do you do it? You do it in the very beginning. Here under tools, you pass this tool underscore schema. And once you pass this tool underscore schema, the LLM will know how many functions are there, what are its types, what is the function name, what kind of parameters need to be passed, and what are the types of the parameters that need to be passed. So when it responds, it will pass you with the ID, and it will also tell you, okay, what arguments are there, and then it will tell you, okay, question, because it knew from this tool schema that the property name is question. This is why you were able to see here question, and then it passes the argument in this question, and it also tells you what is the function name, which is Teveli search. So because you provided it with the name called Teveli search within the tool schema, when you had passed this information there, and using this tool schema, you can really build some wonderful tools to the LLM, and you can pass these tools to the LLM when you ask it questions. And using this, you can build a very nice tool calling design pattern, wherein the LLM can use multiple tools and respond back using enriched information or fetching latest information. And it can use these tools in whichever fashion it wants. There is also tool choice methodology where you can just say automatic, and then this will give the LLM a freedom to use the tool whenever it wants and whichever way it wants. So this is the whole idea behind the tool calling agent, and then this you have to incorporate in your agent itself. So I hope this was helpful. I know this is a bit complicated in the first step, but understanding this is really essential. And maybe if you look at it once again, I think you will get the whole idea of what this is, and it will be helpful for you guys to build the wonderful tools calling agent. Yeah. So hope you like this. Thank you so much and have a nice day. Bye bye.